So, good morning, friends. We'll start. We already completed something in UW, but still, with the slide, we can see how much extra is there. So, service restriction UW2 when vessel having lethal substance shall be done. This requirements all welded joints shall be fully radiographed. RT1 full PWSD. Cat 1 category 1 category A. Category A is the longitudinal. Category B is the circular. The circular sim, and category C is the flange, and category D this the interconnection between the nozzles and cell or head attachment joints. So there is a D here. T1 or T2 not less than 1/4 inch, 6 mm or 0.7 min. UW16. It is UW30. It is recommended that no welding of any kind be done when the temperature of base metal is lower than -20 degrees centigrade. Okay, just we hold up here. Then we go for our book. So we already seen up to UW12 table. Let me take here. So butt joints as attained by double welding of or by other means that were obtained the same quality of deposited weld metal on the inside and outside weld surface to agree with the requirement of UW35 welds using metal backing strips that remain in place are excluded. Yeah, butt joints. So you can deposit weld metal on the inside and outside weld surface to agree with the requirement. So you can back chip and do welding or do a good welding, no problem. Attained by double welding. So anyway you do it. This is ABCD and you have full RT1, sport RT 0.85, no RT 0.7. The extent of radiography or ultrasonic examination, both either or. Ultrasonic examination in lieu of radiography. The second one is single welded butt joint, single sided, not back. You cannot weld from the behind with backing strip other than those included under one. Non except as B below. Circumferential butt joints with one plate offset. Already we've seen sketch. Circumferential butt joints only, not over 16 millimeter thick and not over 24 inch, 600 diameter. So there are three things. So first one, accept B below. So ABCD 0.9, 0.8. So even this one with one plate offset, also same thing. Don't have to too much bother of this. 0.65 is the last one. And if it is circumferential butt joint only, not over 16 millimeter thick and not over 24 inch 600 outside diameter, then it is not applicable. Not applicable is 0.6. So you already seen this. This one is the butt weld with one plate edge offset. It's attached to the cell. So there are in 13.1 some taper joints are there, just to show. 1:3 slope. And there are attachment of pressure parts of flat plates in form of corner joint. So there is something called C, but it's not there. I think so. It is not from here. To see if it is there. Okay, 30° max, and this is 1/4 inch. 6 millimeter radius and 18.5° max. Here also 30° max, 6 millimeter minimum radius, 18.5° max, 14° minimum, 18.5° max, 14° minimum. So it is not totally taper, it is 30, then it is come down to 18.5 to max 14. So 14 minimum, 18.5 max. So nozzle neck attached to the piping or lesser wall thickness. 16. Minimum requirement for attachment welds at opening. There is DO, G, R1. So DO is outside diameter neck of the tube attached to the welding on inside the vessel cell only. G is the radial clearance between hole and vessel wall and outside diameter of nozzle neck or tube. R1 the minimum inside corner radius, the laser of 1/40 or 1/8 inch 3 milli. Radius 1/8 inch 3 milli. Minimum blend radius. T is the nominal thickness of vessel cell or head. T1 plus T2. T1 or T2 not less than smaller of 1/4 inch 6 millimeter or 0.7 of T millimeter. T min. TC not less than smaller of 1/4 inch 6 mm or 0.7 T min inside corner web welds be further limited by lesser length of projection from the nozzle wall beyond the inside face of the vessel side wall. Te is thickness of reinforcing plate as defined in UG40. T mean the smaller of 3 by 4 inch or 19 millimeter, or thickness of the thinner of the part joined by fillet single bevel or single J weld. So these are the nomenclatures. Tn is the nominal thickness of the nozzle wall. Tw is the dimension of attachment of welds, fillet, single bevel, angle J, all these things. So really 19 millimeter or Tn. Tn is the nozzle thickness. That is smaller always. Sometime not always around. So figure 16.1, there are so many figures there. So anything you have some values T1 plus T2, T4, all these things. If they put, they will give you what to do. You can understand. So T1 plus T2 greater than 1/4 T min. 1/4 of T min. And T1 and T2 not less than the smaller of 1 by 4 inch 6 milli or 0.7 T min. So these both have to be okay. It will never be less than 0.25 or 0.7 of T min. The smaller of many times 0.25 is the smaller. So UW26. The rules in the following paragraph apply specifically to the fabrication of pressure vessel and vessel parts that are fabricated by welding and shall be used in conjunction with general requirement for fabrication in subsection A and with specific requirement for fabrication in subsection C. Each manufacturer or part manufacturer shall be responsible for the quality of welding done by his organization and shall conduct tests not only of the welding procedure to determine the suitability to ensure welds that will meet the required test, but also the welders and welding operators to determine their ability to apply the procedure properly. No production welding shall be undertaken until after the welding procedures which are to be used have been qualified. Only welders and welding operators who are qualified in accordance with Section 9 shall be used in production. All welding shall be performed in accordance with the manufacturer's welding procedure specification in accordance with the requirements of Section 9. All welders shall be qualified by manufacturer in accordance with requirement of Section 9. Figure UW21 welds of socket weld flanges to nozzle necks. The minimum weld dimension shall be lesser of T n or 1 by 4 inch. There is a gap of 1.5 millimeter, 1 by 16 inch approximate gap for welding for socket welds. The lesser of Tn or 1 by 4 inch. UW27, the welding process that may be used in construction vessel under the part of the division are limited to those listed in Section 9, Article 2, with the following additional restrictions. Other than pressure inherent to the welding process, no mechanical pressure or blows shall be applied except as permitted for pinning. UW39. So test of welders and welding operators. The welders and the welding operator used in the welding pressure parts and the joining load carrying non-pressure parts attachments to the pressure parts shall be qualified in accordance with Section 9. The qualification test for welding operators and machine welding equipment shall be performed on a separate test plate prior to the start of welding or on the first workpiece. Lowest permissible temperature. It is recommended that no welding of any kind be done when the temperature of the base metal is lower than 0 degrees Fahrenheit minus 20 degrees centigrade. A temperature between 32 degrees Fahrenheit 0 degrees centigrade and 0 degree Fahrenheit minus 20 degrees centigrade. The surface of all areas within 3-inch 75 mm of the point where a weld is to be started should be heated to a temperature least warm to the hand, estimated to be above 60 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 degrees centigrade before welding has started. The temperature between 32 degrees Fahrenheit and 0 minus 20 degrees centigrade, 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Surface of all areas within 75 mm or 3-inch of the point where the weld is to be started should be heated to a temperature at least warm to hand, that is 60 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 degrees centigrade before welding is started. It is recommended also that no welding be done when surface or are wet or covered with ice, when snow is falling on the surface to be welded, or during periods of high wind, unless the welder or welding operators and the work are properly protected from snow, rain, like that. Alignment tolerance, UW33. Alignment of sections at edge to be butt welded shall be such that the maximum offset is not greater than the applicable amount of for the welded joint category. UW3 under consideration. As listed in table UW33, the section thickness T is the nominal thickness of the thinner section at the joint. Any offset within the allowable tolerance provided above shall be paired at a 3:1 taper over the width of the finished weld, or if necessary by adding additional weld metal beyond what would otherwise be the edge of the weld. Such additional weld metal buildup shall be subjected to requirement of UW42. So finished longitudinal and circumferential joint. No, there is something here. Table UW333. So there is category A, category B, C, D, all category joints, and then you have section thickness as per thickness up to half inch. It is 1 by 40, 1 by 40, half inch to 3 by 4 inch. So it is 1 by 8 inch for longitudinal, 1 by 4 inch for circumferential and all other buildings. And 3/4 inch to 1/2 inch, 1 by 8 inch, 3 by 16 inch. In the longitudinal, it is slightly this it is slightly small longitudinal joints. Circumferential they give small more, and half inch to 2 inch, the 1/4 inch and 1/4 T. And over 2 is lesser than this. So 1 by 4, 1 by 8, 1 by 8, 1 by 8, 1 by 4, 1 by 40 is 1 by 4T really. So here also 1 by 4 of T is 1 by 8 3 times and 3 by 4, and this is 3 by 16. It means 2 by so over 2 inches lesser of 1 by 16T or 3 by 8 inch, lesser of 1/8 to 3/4. Here up to 2 inch is 180, but if you see here, it is 316 inch. Finished longitudinal and circumferential joints, but welded joints shall have complete penetration and full fusion, as welded surface is permitted. However, the surface of the weld shall be sufficiently free from coarse ripples, grooves, overlaps, abrupt ridges, and valid to permit proper interpretation of radiographic and other required non-destructive examinations. If there is a question regarding the surface condition of the weld, a proper interpretation of radiographic and other required non-destructive examination. If there is a question regarding the surface condition of the weld when interpreting the radiographic film, the film shall be compared to the actual weld surface for determination of acceptability. A reduction in thickness due to the weld process is acceptable provided all the following conditions are met. The reduction in thickness shall not reduce the material of the adjacent surface below the design thickness at any point. The reduction of thickness shall not exceed 1 mm or 10% of the nominal thickness of the adjoining surface, whichever is less. So maximum reinforcement The category B, C welds, other welds. Whether go with or inch. So there is material nominal thickness up to 3 by 32. It is 3 by 32 or 1 by 32. B, C butt welds, other welds, even A, D, anything. So 332 by 316 and then 316 to like 2.4, 2.4 to 4.8, 4.8 to 13, 13 to 25. It's up to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 5 to 4 to 5, 5. Goal is given. That is the reinforcement means the top of the means after the toe, the finish welding, how much it is upside the material. That is the reinforcement. Pinning weld metal and heat affected zones may be pinned by manual, electric, or pneumatic means when it is deemed necessary or helpful to control distortion, to relieve residual stresses, or to improve the quality of weld. Pinning shall not be used on the initial root layer of the weld metal nor the final layer unless the weld is subsequently post-weld heat treated. In no case, however, is pinning to be performed in lieu of any post-weld heat treatment required by these rules. OUW 40 Procedures for post-weld heat treatment. The separation of post-weld heat treatment shall be performed in accordance with the requirements given in the applicable part in subsection C using one of the following procedures. In the procedure that follow, the soak bend is defined as the volume of metal required to meet the exceed the minimum PWST temperature listed in table UCS 56.1 through UCS 56.11 as a minimum. The soak bend shall contain the weld heat affected zone and portion of the base metal adjacent to the weld being heat treated. The minimum width of this volume is widest width of the weld plus 1T or 2 inch 50 mm, whichever is less on each side of the or end of the weld. The term T is the nominal thickness as defined by F below. Heating the vessel as a whole is an enclosure enclosed furnace. This procedure is preferable and should be used whenever practicable. Heating the vessel in more than one heat in a furnace, provided the overlap of the heated sections of the vessel is at least 5 foot 1.5 meter. When the procedure is used, the portion outside the furnace shall be shielded so that the temperature gradient is not harmful. The cross section where the vessel projects from the furnace shall not intersect a nozzle or other structural discontinuity. Heating of cell sections and the portions of the vessel to post-weld heat treatment with longitudinal joints or complicated welded details before joining to make the completed vessel. When the vessel is required to be post-weld heat treated and it is not practicable to post-weld heat treat the completed vessel as a whole or in two more heats as provided in two above, any circumferential joints not previously post-weld heat treated may be thereafter locally post-weld heat treated by heating such joints by an appropriate means that will assure the required uniformity for such heating. For such local heating, the soak bend shall extend around the full circumference. The portion outside the soak bend shall be protected so that the temperature gradient is not harmful. The procedure may also be used to post-weld heated portion of new vessels after repairs. Heating the vessel internally by any appropriate means and with adequate indicating and recording temperature devices to aid in the control and maintenance of a uniform distribution of temperature in the vessel wall. Previous to this operation, the vessel should be fully enclosed. The insulating material or the permanent insulation may be installed provided it is suitable for the required temperature. The procedure, the internal pressure should be kept as low as practicable, but shall not exceed 50% of the maximum allowable working pressure at the highest metal temperature expected during the post-weld heat treatment period. Heating a circumferential bend containing nozzles or other welded attachment that require post-weld heat treatment is such a manner that the entire bend shall be brought up uniformly to the required temperature and held for specified time, except as modified in this paragraph below. The soak bend shall extend around the entire vessel and shall include the nozzle or welded attachment. The circumferential soak bend width may be varied away from nozzle or attachment weld requiring PWST, provided the required soak bend around the nozzle or attachment weld is heated to the required temperature and held for required time. As an alternative to varying the soak bend width, the temperature within the circumferential bend away from the nozzle or attachment may be varied and need not reach the required temperature provided the required soak bend around the nozzle or attachment weld is heated to the required temperature, held for the required time, and the temperature gradient is not harmful throughout the heating and cooling cycle. The portion of the vessel outside the circumferential soak bend shall be protected so that the temperature gradient is not harmful. The procedure may also be used to post-weld heat treatment portion of vessel after repairs. Maybe we leave something here to see. Okay, so it's not here. Okay. D. It is recognized that the some post-weld heat treatment may have the detrimental effect on the properties of some material. When the pressure parts of two different P numbers are joined by welding engineering judgment shall be applied when selecting the post-weld heat treatment temperature and holding time to produce material properties suitable for intended service. Alternatives such as welding with buttering are described in section 9 QW 283 may be considered post-weld heat treatment when required shall be done before the hydrostatic test and after any welded repairs except the permitted by UCS 56. A preliminary hydrostatic test to reveal leaks prior to post-weld heat treatment is permissible. UCS 56.1 through UCS 56.11, UCS 56.1, UHA 32-1 through UHA 32-7 and UHT 56 is the thickness of the welded joint as defined below. For pressure vessels or parts of pressure vessels being post-weld heat treated in a furnace charge, it is greatest weld thickness for all weld types as defined in 1 through 6 below. Any vessel or vessel parts that has not previously been post-weld heat treated. When the welded joint connects part of same thickness using full penetration but weld, nominal thickness is the total depth of the weld exclusive of any permitted weld reinforcement. For groove welds, nominal thickness of the depth of the groove. For single or double-sided groove welds, nominal thickness of total width of the groove. The fillet welds, the nominal thickness is the throat dimension. The fillet weld is used in conjunction with a groove weld. The nominal thickness of the depth of the groove or throat dimension, whichever is greater. The thinner of two adjacent butt weld parts, including head to cell connections, thickness of cell to fillet weld, whichever is greater. The connection to intermediate heads of the type shown in figure UW 13-1 sketchy. The thickness of the cell in connection to tube sheet, flat head covers flanges except for welded tube sheet, flat for welded parts depicted in figure 224 sketch 7. The thickness of the weld shall be governed or similar construction. In figure UW 16-16.1 and U 16.2, thickness of weld across the nozzle neck or cell or head to be reinforcing pad or attachment fillet weld, whichever is greater. The thickness of the nozzle neck at the joint in the nozzle neck to flange connection. The thickness of the weld at the point of attachment when the non-pressure part is welded to a pressure part. Check the welding procedure. Check welder and welding operator qualification. The manufacturer shall certify the welding on a vessel has been done only by the welder and welding operator who have been qualified under the requirement of Section 9, and the inspection shall assure himself that only qualified welders and welding operators have been used. Non-destructive examination of welds on pneumatically tested vessels. Welded pressure vessels to the pneumatically tested in accordance with UG 100. The full length of the following welds shall be examined before the pneumatic test is performed for the purpose of detecting cracks. All welds around opening, all attachment welds having the throat thickness greater than 1/4 inch, 6 mm including weld attaching non-pressure parts to pressure parts. The weld joint examinations requirements given in A may be waived, and the maximum allowable working pressure of the vessel is no greater than 500 psi, 3.5 MPa, and the following applicable requirement is met. Non-destructive examination of welds on pneumatically tested vessels. On welded pressure vessels to be pneumatically tested in accordance with UG 100, the full length of the following welds shall be examined before the pneumatic test is performed for the purpose of detecting cracks. All welds around the opening, all attachment welds having the throat thickness greater than 6 mm, including welds attaching non-pressure parts to pressure parts. The weld joint examination requirements given in A may be waived when the maximum allowable working pressure of the vessel is not greater than 500 psi, 3.5 MPa, and the following applicable requirement is met. Per part UCS material, the governing thickness as defined in UCS 66A shall be limited to a maximum governing thickness 1/2 inch 13 mm for material as to curve A and 1 inch for material sign in curve B, C or D in figure UCS 66. For austenitic chromium nickel stainless steels 304, 304L, 316, 316L, 321, 347 part UHA, the maximum nominal material thickness shall be 3 by 4 inch 19 millimeter. Okay, we'll stop here. UW 51, 52. We take one class.